Not to be confused with Tay-Son Rebellion, the Son Tay Campaign was a campaign fought by the French to capture the strategically important city of Son Tay in Tonkin from Liu Yongfu's Black Flag Army and allied contingents of Vietnamese and Chinese troops. The campaign was one of several clashes between the Tonkin Expeditionary Corps and the Black Flag Army during the Tonkin Campaign, and took place during the period of undeclared hostilities that preceded the Sino-French War. Background: following the defeat and death of the French naval captain Henri Rivière at the Battle of Paper Bridge on 19 May 1883 at the hands of Liu Yongfu in the Black Flag Army, the French government sent substantial reinforcements to Tonkin. General Alexandre-Eugène Bouet, Rivière's successor, attempted to destroy the Black Flag Army in the summer and autumn of 1883. But although the Black Flags suffered substantial losses in the Battle of Phu Huy and the Battle of Palan, the French failed to defeat them decisively. In October 1883, command of the Tonkin Expeditionary Corps was given to Admiral Auguste Courbet. The French now prepared for a major offensive at the end of the year to annihilate the Black Flags, and tried to persuade China to withdraw its support for Liu Yongfu, while attempting to win the support of the other European powers for the projected offensive. Jules Ferry and the French Foreign Minister Paul-Armand Chalamel-Lacour met a number of times in the summer and autumn of 1883 with the Chinese Minister Marquis Zheng Jizhe in Paris. But these diplomatic discussions proved abortive. The Chinese stood firm, and refused to withdraw substantial garrisons of Chinese regular troops from Son Tay, Bac Ninh and Lang Son, despite the likelihood that they would be shortly engaged in battle against the French. In turn, the French consolidated their hold on the delta by establishing posts at Quang Yen, Hun Yen and Ninh Binh. In December 1883, Admiral Courbet was authorized by Ferry's government to attack Son Tay. The French cabinet accepted that an attack on Liu Yongfu would probably result in an undeclared war with China, but calculated that a quick victory in Tonkin would force the Chinese to accept a fait accompli. The forces Son Tay lay a few kilometers to the south of the Red River. The town was protected by a kite-shaped pentagonal curtain wall just over 11 feet high, with 3 short sides facing roughly east and 2 long sides converging to a sharp point to the west of the town. The curtain wall was enclosed on all 5 sides by a wide, deep moat filled with water and by a tall bamboo palisade. Even if an attacker crossed these obstacles and breached the curtain wall, he still had to capture the central citadel of Son Tay. The citadel, built by Vietnamese engineers on the model of the French citadels of Cochin, China, lay at the heart of the town. It was square-shaped, and its walls were 300 meters long. It was dominated by a watchtower 18 meters high. According to the reports that the French had received, there were at least 100 cannon in battery behind the defenses. To remain in contact with the flotilla, the French were bound to approach Son Tay from the east, with their right flank lying on the Red River. In theory, they could march past Son Tay on its northern side, squeezing their columns between the town and the river, and deploy for an attack on the vulnerable acute angle where the 2 long walls met to the west of the town. However, the defenders had done their best to ensure that they would never get there. The dike paths leading to Son Tay from the Day River converged at the village of Phu Sa, just to the northeast of the town. The Black Flags had hired European engineers to convert Phu Sa into an impregnable strongpoint. From the Phu Sa strongpoint, the Black Flags had an excellent field of fire both out to the east, from where the initial French attack was likely to come, and north to the Red River. To deploy to the north and west of Son Tay, the French would first have to capture Phu Sa. This would not be an easy task, as Liu Yongfu had strongly garrisoned the village and packed it with cannon. The cannon were dug in beneath casemates, making them a difficult target to knock out. Son Tay was defended by 3,000 veteran soldiers of the Black Flag Army under the command of Liu Yongfu, around 7,000 Vietnamese troops of indifferent quality under the command of Prince Hoang Ke-viem, and a contingent of 1,000 Chinese troops under the command of Tang Jiong. Hoang Ke-viem's Vietnamese garrisoned the citadel, and the Chinese were deployed inside Son Tay. The curtain wall and the outwork of Phu Sa were held by Liu Yongfu's Black Flags. Neither the Vietnamese nor the Chinese contingents would play any significant role in the battle, which was essentially a straight fight between the French and the Black Flags. Admiral Ame-de Courbet led the bulk of the Tonkin Expeditionary Corps to Son Tay. The French deployed around 9,000 men for the campaign, organized into two columns under the respective command of Colonel Bellin and Colonel Bicot. Bellin's column, 3,300 men strong, consisted of two Turco battalions, one Marine Infantry Battalion with an attached company of Cochin Chinese riflemen, the 1st Foreign Legion Battalion, 800 Tonkinese riflemen and 3 Marine Artillery batteries. Bicot's column consisted of 3 Marine Infantry battalions, each with an attached company of Cochin Chinese riflemen, a battalion of Fusiliers Marines, 3 Marine Artillery batteries and a 65 mm naval battery. The campaign. Both French columns set off from Hanoi at dawn on the 11th of December 1883. Courbet had told nobody the objective of the expedition, and many of the combatants had been expecting to march against Bac Ninh, which had been occupied by around 20,000 troops of China's Guangxi Army in the autumn of 1882. Bellin's column marched overland to the Day River from Hanoi, while Bicot's column was transported up the Red River by 6 French gunboats of the Tonkin Flotilla and several steam launchers, junks and tugs. On the afternoon of the 11th of December, Bicot's column went ashore on the western bank of the Day River and secured a passage for Bellin's slower-moving column. Meanwhile, Bellin's column marched over Paper Bridge and through the villages of Phu Hoi, Kien Mai and Phong, recrossing the battlefields of the 19th of May and the 15th of August, and reached the Day River without incident. On the 13th of December, both columns met 5 kilometers from the forward defenses of Son Tay. Bellin's men needed rest, and Courbet postponed the battle for Son Tay to the following day. The battle for Son Tay. The battle to take Son Tay was the fiercest engagement the French had yet fought against the Black Flags. The Black Flags fought ferociously to defend the city. Early in the afternoon of the 14th of December, the French advanced from the east on the Phu Sa positions, beating off the Black Flag sortie against their right flank. Artillery was brought up, and in a 2-hour bombardment the Black Flag guns at Phu Sa were gradually silenced. Later in the afternoon, Roux and Chevalier's battalions captured the forward Black Flag positions at Phu Sa, but attempts to exploit this success failed. Godinet's company of Junot's Turco Battalion and Cunney's company of Rux's Marine Infantry Battalion assaulted the central redoubt, but were thrown back with heavy casualties. By nightfall, the French were still stalled in front of Phu Sa. French casualties on the 14th of December were 68 killed and 249 wounded. Nearly half these casualties were sustained by Junot's Turco Battalion, which was unable to play any further role in the battle. In one day, Courbet had lost more men than his predecessors Riviere and Bouet had done in all their battles put together. Hoping to exploit Courbet's defeat, Liu Yongfu attacked the French lines the same night, but the Black Flag attack also failed disastrously. Liu Yongfu lost so many men in this counterattack that he was obliged to abandon the Phu Sa positions and withdraw into the fortified perimeter of Son Tay. After resting his troops on the 15th of December, Courbet assaulted the defenses of Son Tay from the northwest on the afternoon of the 16th of December. This time the attack was thoroughly prepared by artillery, and delivered only after the defenders had been worn down. To hearten his troops, Corbett set an example of the utmost personal courage, riding forward to a position well within range of the Black Flag fire. At 5 p.m., Donnie's Foreign Legion Battalion and Legers Fusiliers Marins captured the western gate of Son Tay and fought their way into the town. Liu Yongfu's garrison withdrew to the citadel, and evacuated Son Tay under cover of darkness several hours later. On the morning of the 17th of December, the French stitched together an enormous tricolour flag from strips of cloth torn from captured Black Flag banners and hoisted it over the citadel of Son Tay, while Corbett made a triumphal entry on horseback. Order of the day. On the 17th of December 1883, Corbett issued the following order of the day to the soldiers and sailors of the Expeditionary Corps. Les forts de feu à la citadelle de Son Tay dont des sommets illustrés par votre valence. Vous avez combattu, vous avez vaincu un ennemi redoutable. Vous avez montré une force de place au monde entier que la France peut toujours compter sur ses enfants. Soyez fiers de vos succès. Ils assurent la pacification de Tonkin. Significance. Corbett had achieved his objective, but at considerable cost. Total French casualties during the 2 days of fighting amounted to 83 dead and 320 wounded. The dead or mortally wounded officers included Captain Godinet of Junot's Algerian Rifle Battalion, Captains Dessay and Cuny and Lieutenant Clavet of the Marine Infantry, and Captain Mel of Donnie's Legion Battalion. 22 other officers were wounded. One jaundiced French officer commented, "Admiral Corbett took Son Tay as you would expect a sailor to do, by boarding." According to reports later received by the French, Chinese and Vietnamese casualties at Son Tay had been heavy. 900 dead and around 1,000 wounded. Nearly all these casualties were suffered by Liu Yongfu's Black Flag Army. The fighting at Son Tay took a terrible toll of the Black Flags, and in the opinion of the British observer William Mesny, broke them once and for all as a serious fighting force. The disproportionate sacrifices made by the Black Flag Army at Son Tay had important consequences. Liu Yongfu felt that he had been deliberately left to bear the brunt of the fighting by his Chinese and Vietnamese allies, and determined never again to expose his troops so openly. After the fall of Son Tay, Liu retreated with the Black Flag Army to Bac Ninh, but made little attempt to coordinate the movements of the Black Flag Army with those of the Chinese forces at Bac Ninh. The absence of the Black Flags from the battlefield was an important factor in the defeat of China's Guangxi Army in the Bac Ninh campaign in March 1884.